Understanding Mark Boucher and the selectors' thought processes when picking the test team is something that I really gave a massive thought to over the last couple of days, and particularly last night after Rassi's performance. I took a seat back, obviously after my podcast show and the comments that were made there. Took a step back just to have a thought about what it is like to be in Mark Boucher's shoes and what it is like to be in the selectors' shoes, and try to think from their perspective. Now, that's what we're going to be talking today. I'm going to be bringing Umpo on the show to help me with this, because in the past, myself and Umpo have given credit to certain selections, and also we've given some criticism to certain selections and ideas, and to Boucher and to the selectors. So we want to talk about it here in an open discussion between us, and let's just try to put ourselves in the shoes of the coaches, of course, as well. To the guys that are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell, and let's get into the video. Let's get straight into the content for today's show. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. It's the daily show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And right now, we've got an interesting point that we thought we'll bring to you. Now it's 7 o'clock, obviously, and the game is currently on. And I know you guys are taking time away from that to come and chat to me. But I thought that we'll have this discussion because a large portion of the time I'm sitting here thinking, why isn't Boucher doing this? Why is Boucher doing that? Why is he not doing this? Why is he doing that? And constantly as fans, we're always questioning our coaches or our selectors or the managers or certain players, etc. And I fell into the trap of getting into that spiral when it came to Rassie van der Dussen. And I sat here earlier on today in our review of the day's play saying that I was wrong when it comes to Rassie. Me not thinking beyond just age was a poor judgment on my part, and I need to correct myself when it comes to that. And I think that by putting myself in Boucher's shoes, in the selector's shoes, what the team needed at the particular time was someone to come into the team and someone that stood for everything that South Africa is supposed to stand for: fighting spirit, someone that can fight towards the end, someone that can, of course, perform from the get-go, from this first game right through, keep the middle order together, be that symbol in that middle order and safety net for so many other players, being an inspiration, having the right mentality of a South African person. And also, what was a bonus for me, the fact that he took a knee. And that was something that also adds to that value besides the trophies that he's won. So, Paul, let's talk about the selectors. Let's talk about Mark Boucher. Putting yourself in his shoes. When you look at the selections that have come our way now, I've obviously spoken about before, Zubair Hamza being outdone by a little bit. I think that Boucher should have maybe given him extra time before dropping him from the side. Looking at some certain people, that is Keegan Peterson maybe the right choice that he made? Is Kyle Verreynne the right choice that they made for the particular position? Those things come to question. Why did they go with certain players? Why haven't they gone with others? Let's start talking about it. What is your viewpoint on it?
Look, I think when Mark started coaching the team, he said he wanted to return South African cricket to that hard-nosed team that dominated international cricket from like 2005 up until like he left 2012. And to a certain extent, before then, it kind of felt like our cricketers were soft. We weren't playing hard cricket. We would roll over easily. And so in that, you also needed to find hard-nosed players, guys who can stick it out, guys who have good character, guys who are great additions to a changing room and not guys who take away from a changing room. But that's all part of sport. It is all part of sport and also part of a coach's philosophy. guys who, I think there was a comment made yesterday to me about aggression, about how Mark Boucher as a player was very aggressive. If you look at that Australia tour when that Australia tour, I think the game where Smith broke his hand, Mark had to spend that morning's net session and I think the afternoon net session of the tee, when he realized that we're going to have to bat out the full day, he got all the bowlers and he got them in the net and he started peppering them with short balls to get them ready, to get them to understand that they need to be able to face all of this. And so you're seeing Mark's character coming through in this team. The aggression that he's talking about is the ability, the never say die. It's a never say die spirit rather than the type of cricket you want to play. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? It's not, and it only clicked for me last night when I was like, okay, so aggressive cricket for Mark Boucher is don't give in, always be ruthless. Because Mark was always a ruthless player, right? He would come in situations, he understood what the situation required, and he always wanted to put teams under immense pressure in order to do that. But you need to build cricketers of that ilk and find cricketers in South African cricket of that ilk. The reason why he keeps Temba Bavuma, even though Temba's average is 32, is because Temba is that type of a player. He values his wicket. He doesn't let it go. He has the type of attitude and mentality. Now, with a Kyle Verreynne, it's a similar type of thing. You look at the guys he keeps on picking. Keegan Peterson, perfect example. Keegan is a hard-nosed guy. He's played over 100 first-class games. He's not flashy. He's very compact. He knows what he needs to do, and he does it for the cause of the team. You need guys who do things more for the cause of the team rather than for themselves. And I think in that Otis Gibson period before then, while Cricket South Africa was going through a whole lot of drama, it was more about the players and stuff like that, and the team. Vian Mulder, we call him on my channel Vian Senior Player Mulder, because Vian in the first test was chirping, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" But that's the type of guy
we know him
he
like
is.
that. We know him like that, yeah.
No, but that's the type of guy he is. He fields in the slips because he's that type of he wants to take that responsibility. And what Mark is trying to build with this test side, I'm not sure about the limited overside, but he's trying to. I think that's where he might need a little bit more help. But this test side, what he's trying to build, and I'm hoping that with Dean Alger as captain, he's kind of now found the guy, Dean Alger, the guy who most resembles Mark Boucher's aggressive playing nature in the way that he does things. He's found that guy who can embody his spirit on the field. Like when Kagiso took that no ball wicket, Dean Alger was the most loud guy you heard when he said, he didn't swear, but he said, and I was like, oh, okay, I see. It means a lot to you. And so that's the type of things that I think maybe Mark's now trying to bring into this test side. He tried, I don't know what he was trying in Pakistan. With Sri Lanka, he was trying to get these guys to get there, but obviously I think Sri Lanka wasn't necessarily a strong enough team. Pakistan away series was a little bit weird. Maybe it was because of the bubble. But I think now he's now found a side that necessarily matches his team from a competency level, and he can ingrain all these things into them while winning. Because the big thing was for me was this team needs to learn how to win Test cricket and learn how to win it the way we used to win it back in the day, which is hard-nosed cricket, grinding things out, taking time out of the game, and not necessarily being flashy or letting your wicket go. And I think that's where and I hope it continues, that he's found that rhythm. I do think there's a long way he needs to go with his team, but from a selection perspective, he's picking guys who resemble that the character he has as a player on the field.
Yeah, and you can see the way they're fielding as well. The way we are fielding is a lot better. Our fielding has improved by a long way. We've been more clinical. I mean, look at Dean Alger. I don't know, captains made him a better slip fielder for some reason, but I mean, he's been epic in the field as well. His calls have been phenomenal. The way they communicate currently, there seems to be a type of spirit in this team that just gives me hope. It's particularly in the test arena. Now, when England was here, I said the reverse. I said that the ODI team seemed, just because that pressure wasn't in that group of players, it just gave me a little bit more hope that there was a air about it. There was a certain air that I felt, and a certain aura I felt when I was with the team in the environment, and the freshness over there, the players over there just made me feel that way. The way they were helping each other. A guy like David Miller was sitting in nets talking to the guys, saying, "Look here, this is how you do this or that. This is rather do this." Like he was throwing balls down to the players in the nets and all of those type of things. So it's really flowing through the entire team, and I'm sensing that. I'm sure that if I was in the West Indies and I was around their camp or in the training sessions, etc., I would feel that cohesiveness building, and it's so important that builds, that winning mentality, that spirit, that builds throughout the team and continues to go from strength to strength. Only concern now is that there's this massive gap now between now, where there's a whole domestic season between now and the next time we're going to play again. What does Boucher do with those two, that one spot that we're looking for in the number 3? Does he stick with Keegan Peterson? I hope he does. Or does he switch it around if someone like Reina van Toorde has another 900 season, for example?
No, guys, I think this thing of dropping people after 2 tests needs to stop. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I agree.
It needs to stop. Keegan Peterson should open the batting on Boxing Day. Or be in that starting 11 on Boxing Day, regardless of what Reynard does, even in those 4 months of domestic cricket. The big thing for me, from a cricketing perspective, with Mark Boucher's tenure, has always been the tactics. Has always been how we look to plan B. For instance, the collapse that happened yesterday, I was not happy with. I was livid. I was really, really angry with the way in which the collapse happened. And then you ask yourself, okay, fine. What is going on in the dressing room such that this thing cannot be arrested? For instance, plan A, yes, we had plan A. It went out the window the moment you were 44 for 3. There were a couple of guys inside that middle to top order, who didn't understand, who couldn't, I don't know if it's reading conditions, if it's playing the situation, who struggled to play the situation. I understand Calvert is new. I understand Keegan Peterson is new. And I understand, but there were other guys like Quinton de Kock and all of those guys, and Quinton got a good ball. But there's a certain level of, when you've lost a bunch of wickets, this team all of a sudden is like, okay, we just wilt away, and there was a sense of that up until Rassie and Kagiso came through. So it's like, if you use the analogy of a guy on the side of the mountain, right? He's falling. He's made an error. He's falling, and he's hanging on by his hands and his legs and his feet, and he's sliding down the mountain, hoping for a point where he's going to hold on, and then use that as a base to climb back up. Our base was at Kagiso and Rassie. Rassie stood, he was losing partners, and only had to wait for KG to come in and try and help this team. And my answer is, KG is too low for you to be able to win games, because you allowed the West Indies a little bit of hope yesterday. You brought them back into the game. You gave them control over the game that you won back in this first session. When you needed to be able to play cricket on your terms. And that's the one thing that I think Mark Boucher may struggle with his team, being young, being new, and also trying to figure out how to get it to go. And from a tactical perspective, how do you get guys to bat, to do the plan B, to understand the nature of the game, and be able to understand conditions and do that tactically. And I've been hearing a lot of, no, but we need to allow cricketers to allow themselves to think, to play their natural games. When you're in a situation when you're 44 for 3, natural game goes out the window. You do what you need, what your team needs to do. And we still haven't gotten that. But we found a guy in Rassie who has the ability to do that. Rassie is your everyday, your man when things go in trouble. Temba is your man when things fall apart. He's always been that guy. Doesn't score runs when everything's happy. He scores runs when you are in deep, deep, deep trouble. And that's a type of mentality that you want, and guys who can come in and think. And maybe Keegan Peterson may not be that guy. Maybe Calvert needs to go back and reignite that Cobras-esque type of, if we're in a collapse, this is how we bat. But yesterday, that's what disappointed me the most from the top and middle order, was that I was like, we're slightly going back to where Mark Boucher was running from. But from a character perspective, these guys are giving it their all. It's just that to a certain extent, the identifying of when you're in a crisis and what to do, then you can do that. And Rassi, and as Bevan says, their plan was to attack. That's what he said yesterday. And I sat there going, okay, fine. If the plan was to attack, I'm with you. But then when you're 44 for 3, you're staring the game down. You might be giving away the game. What do I need from my batsman? And I think from a tactical perspective, that's where Mark Boucher might need to work on in these next 6 months. Because from a character perspective, you can find guys with character. Aiden's got character. Dean's got character. That entire 11 has character, and they're guys who I would go to war with. I just need guys to think when they're in the war. And I think Mark needs guys to think when they're out there to be able to not give games away that easily. Because against bigger teams, against better teams, the margin for error is not as much as what it is against the West Indies.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, everything that you said there, Mbo. And I just want to add a little bit that, like Bevan said, yes, and it's something that I spoke about with Aditya early on, is that I thought before that happened, before they went out to bat, I did a review show of that day, and I spoke about it, and I said, I hope they don't go into this mindset of just being free-flowing and just attack like they just want to play their own natural games, because this pitch is not for that. The pitch was asking you to play a certain type of cricket, and if you don't, you fail. As soon as you think that you know the pitch, it gets you every single time. It's like surfing sometimes. Every single time you think that you're the expert and you know the wave and you know the surf, you crash. So you need to be careful and read the situation, read the wave, read the current situation, read the conditions. That's why I'm so happy that Shukri told me that he is going to be focusing on, with his younger players, on how to read their situation, read the conditions, and apply their talents according to those conditions. Because if the conditions are available, then our attacking players are going to come to the fold and they're going to show what they're capable of. Like, for example, Aiden Markram plays in that type of, he's in that type of mold of a player. When the pitch is good for him, he can be very destructive. But he also has shown a little bit better, in the last 2 series, he has shown that grit inside of him as well. But if that was the message from the dressing room, go out there, go play your natural game, go attack, go get as much as possible on the board, as quick as possible, I think that might have been the wrong message for that particular situation. The pitch doesn't just change within a couple of, in 24 hours.
I get that strategy. I get it. But that's plan A. That's every team's plan A. You have them on the ropes, kill them. Pull them and put them away. But when it doesn't happen,
we could have killed them we could have been ruthless by just playing, by batting longer, by being cautious, by batting exactly the way we did that.
But Khalid, like my point earlier, this team is taking on the persona of Mark Boucher as the cricketer. This is what Mark would have done. Mark has taken games away from teams. When his team has been 100 for 5, Mark will come in, bat with, I don't know who he would bat with, maybe Jacques Callis is still there, help Jacques Callis get to his 100, and then after that, if he's batting with the tail, best believe he's gonna go hell for leather, right? That's the type of mentality that Mark Boucher is. The question for me, from a cricket tactics perspective, that's fine as plan A. What's your plan B? What's the full-black plan when things aren't going well? And because cricket is such an individualized game, it's not like soccer where you can call all 11 guys over and be like, hey, guys, maybe one of you guys needs to go back and defend, right? This is individualized. So guys need to come in and decide by themselves, make those mental adjustments, those cricketing adjustments, and be able to take the team out of, which is why Temba is such a valued member in a Boucher team, because Temba thinks like that. Temba in Sri Lanka was unbelievable with Tianis de Brain, because every time they came in, the team was like 100 for 4 or was 80 for 4, you know. And most of Temba's innings, or most of, because Temba's scored 15 half centuries. He's only scored 1 century, but he scored 15 half centuries. Most of the times, it's always been in a crisis. And he understands, he reads that better than when the team is full flowing and is doing well. Maybe that's one of the criticisms for him, that he's a one type of player. He's a man in a crisis, but he's not your man when the sun is shining. But it's that type of thinking of, okay, if I'm in trouble, that's what I need to do. People complain that Rassie bats slowly, but Rassie is your man in a crisis. He's always been your man in a crisis for the past 2 years across all three formats. When the top order fails, Rassie scores runs. When the top order scores lots of runs, Rassie struggles. Look at Pakistan. Look at Sri Lanka. Rassie was nowhere to be found, but everyone else was scoring because it was free flowing and it was great. But when times are tough, things are not that good. But my question to Mark will always be, when you're 44 for 3, what do you tell the guys? What's the plan now? Do we then say, okay, guys, for the next 5 or 10 overs, forget about the offside, solely focus on the leg side, and then you can judge as a coach as to whether guys are doing well, guys are doing badly, guys are following instructions. But because cricket's such an individualized game, and everyone should kind of comes in and everyone needs to do their own thing, it just baffles me that you it baffles me that you don't want to make those type of adjustments when you're bleeding. And that for me is the biggest problem. Because I'm like, okay, fine, yes, we want to attack, but it's not working.
Yeah,
so what do we do now?
But in Test cricket, I think that it's you play the situation more than anything else. I don't think it's a type of format that you can just say, oh, let's go play our attacking brand of cricket just because you want to play an attacking brand of cricket. It's got to do with you have to read the conditions and see the situation. You can't wait till you're 5 down and then decide, oh, flip, maybe we must play differently. Like after Aiden went out the way he did, they should have already said, whoa, the ball's moving here still. We need to put our heels down and just play the game according to the situation. And that's what I mean by the coach has to come in, be involved with that and say, look, you guys, go out there, play exactly what worked for us on this pitch is playing this way. Go out there and do the same. Then you would be ruthless because you're not taking your foot off the gas at all, because you are actually putting more pressure on them. The longer that the West Indies are out of the field, the more they deteriorate, the more ruthless that is, the more tired they become, the more lethargic they become, the harder it is for them to bat. That is being ruthless in Test cricket. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go score 300 before lunch. You understand what I mean? So that's just my point about this particular situation.
But here's the thing. No, look at that. The best thing with Mark Boucher was look at that T2 that Mzansi Super League final in PAL, when they restricted PAL to about 150, right? And I think in the dressing room, they thought they were in it because they had AB de Villiers. And they went out guns blazing. The Tshwane Spartans, they went out guns blazing. They did not read anything of their bowling innings, of that pitch in that bowling innings, and they got found out and got bowled out for about 120, and they lost that final. But that's the type of character and coach that Mark is. Mark is go get it. It's there, go get it, and be as aggressive as you can and prove a point. But he doesn't have the superstars who have the ability to do that. He doesn't have the Smiths who could dominate you and silence you by just batting you out of the game. He doesn't have the Callises. He doesn't have all those people. He needs to find them and put this character in. But the other thing is, he also needs guys like Rassie, who are a rock, who are the guys who will fight for the team when things aren't going well. But from a tactical perspective, I'm with you, Khalid. I think Mark's a bit too aggressive at times as a coach. I think I found him always aggressive, but he's trying to build a team that is like that fits the mold of who he is. The guys who go out and go out and do what the team needs to be done at that point in time, but do it without a backup plan. And I think that was my problem.
And I hope that he doesn't mess up some cricketers coming through the system by enforcing this type of mentality on them. I think that there are certain players that have that in them, and there's certain players that are not like that. And I think he needs to be building a test team that is balanced with people in the team that have the mentality just to be able to change things and put it on. Because Quinton de Kock's the type of player that can do that aggressive brand of cricket when you need him to turn it on and take the game away from you. Aiden Markram, someone similar as an opening batsman. Now between 3 and 4, you need someone there too that can do it. And then 5 is kind of your solid guy that will be able to take you out of trouble, which I think that Kyle can become in the future for South Africa cricket. Currently, that's Pavuma's spot currently, and Kyle can take over from that position when we're in trouble, take him away. But you need to have that balance of guys in the team. But if a guy that is really heating up the stage in domestic cricket and really has the potential mentally, but needs to just be able to play his natural game and come to the side. I hope he doesn't try to enforce things on them that maybe don't suit their makeup.
Look, obviously, with every coach, there'll always be players whose personalities don't click, who'll never make it in. I'm a fan of the type of Ray Jennings coaching, but not many were. They hated him. A lot of the players hated Ray Jennings, largely because of the type of authoritarian person he was. And so you're going to have those situations with some players where it clicks and it doesn't. But my big thing is, if you look at Keegan Peterson's innings yesterday, I hope there was a discussion after it yesterday to tell him that his position is secure. Because the way he was batting was not the way Keegan Peterson bats domestically.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the question is, where did he get the pressure come from? Did it come from this instruction that we needed to score quickly, and he was trying to do it because it looked unnatural, it looked forced, right? Or was it his own internal pressure saying that I've only batted 3 times in international cricket, I don't want to become a Zubi. So and in both cases, I hope there was a discussion after that innings where he can talk to Mark and probably the other assistants and get a sense of what his role, what's his role better, of his role a little bit better, because at number 3, especially when you've come in after the first over in the game, I don't need you to bash down the door. But it was what was required. So I think for me, there needs to be a conversation. I hope there was with Keegan and also Kyle to kind of let them know that, because for me, I'm happy taking Kyle around the world. I'm happy having squad mentality. I'm happy in longer series. You give Kyle a few games, you give someone else a few games to get guys playing cricket. Yes, there's not a lot of opportunities in Test cricket, so there'll be youngsters who won't get many opportunities. I'm happy that Kyle's in the setup, but Kyle's role, as he said on Friday, is secure, and he's happy with it, and he's comfortable with it. And so I'm happy with that they've spoken to him about it. But I do hope there was another conversation after yesterday
with Keegan
to kind
as well,
of ease them down and say, guys, yes, it's only the second test. We don't want you to be superstars. If you are, that's great. We love it. We want that. But play with no pressure. Play with there's no risk in all of this. And so too Vian Mulder. Vian Mulder actually is the one who I think needs a lot more someone to actually talk to him. He's such a great player, great talent, but you can see that his batting is getting him down, and he wants it to be better, but it's kind of like he's now forcing it. He's now and he's doing everything right. It's just that now I think it's all in his head. And so there needs to be people who talk to him and tell him, look, dude, your position is fine. Just bat the way you normally know how to, and let it go. But the other question, obviously, is from a tactical perspective. If the tactics are weighing down on the players, screw the tactics. Let the players play the way they need to play and the way they see the game. I think it's much better and much more natural that way, rather than we want to be aggressive and everything in every single press conference ever since Mark Boucher's been coach. Let's be aggressive. Let's have a little bit of nuance. Let's have a plan B. Let's allow people to show us the type of batsman that they are.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Paul, for coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please smash that like button, click that notification bell, and subscribe, please. We're getting closer and closer and closer to getting to the targets that we want to get to. So, help us get there faster, please. So, please subscribe and the notification bell, please, as soon as you do. And thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. If you guys know that if you want more content from Cricket Fanatics Magazine, please subscribe to our magazine. It's 100% free. So go ahead to cricketfanaticsmag.com/monthly magazine and you will get the free magazines, all the back issues for 12 issues for absolutely free, straight to your email inbox. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show and a preview show at 12 p.m. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the game. Peace.